And now we have on deck Dr. Curt Bonk from Indiana University Instructional Systems Technology Department. He is a professor at Indiana University Bloomington who specializes in research on non-traditional and informal learning at the intersection of psychology, technology, education, and business. Self-described as part accountant, part educational psychologist, part digital learning technologist, part global educator, part writer, part inspirational speaker, part creative pedagogist, part maverick, and part entrepreneur. May I introduce Dr. Curt Bonk?
Have to turn the mic on. Thank you very much. Which part of me you get today, I'm not sure. Which part do you want? So I've posted in the chat window a link to my slides. Also, there's a handout for today I just came up with and whipped up this morning that says reflection on outcomes, since the goal is outcomes right here in the Coaches Network. So I have two frameworks or models we'll be walking through here today, and with examples. And anybody can fill up either side with how they can use them. The first one who says they have done so, I will give me your address, and I will send you one of my books that relate to the model: Read, Reflect, Display, and Do, also called my Star Wars model, R2-D2. That being said, if you don't get the free book, you can get the newer books that are online for free at my homepage. So I have two books that have 100 activities for teaching online, and this one is free in Chinese, if any of you are Chinese, and in English. So it's been downloaded a couple 100,000 times, and then the counter broke. So I do not know how many times it's been downloaded, but that was before COVID. So I'm sure during COVID it's been downloaded. It has 10 principles of motivation that spell TEC-VARIETY: tone, encouragement, curiosity, and you can see them listed all there: variety, autonomy, relevance, interactivity, engagement, tension, and yielding products. So it has 10 chapters with the activities in it, and 10 times 10 activities is 100. And it has a variation. So actually 200 ideas in there. This was written before the web in 2014. And then we came out with a new version, shorter version, 2 years ago, that's on my homepage as well. It's called Motivating and Sustaining Learners. It has a free class on motivating learners as well. So there's a lot of free things off my homepage that you can get, and I'll repeat that at the end. So this book is called Adding TEC-VARIETY. So just type in TEC-VARIETY, TEC-VARIETY. You can download the book right now, or TEC-VARIETY, probably a better way to get it.
I just put it in the chat.
Thank you. The other book is Wiley, Josie Bass would not let me make it free, but anyways, I will give a free one out. And there is a lot of free stuff with it too, but it's called Empowering Online Learning. So in the news, every day, we've been inundated. You know, we all are. Since what, November 2022? You know, I had no research on AI as of November 2022, but I've been reading about it since I was a member of the American Association for AI in 1984, 85. So I've been reading about this for 4 decades, right? Hoping to get into this. Since November 2022, we've published maybe 8 or 9 research studies on AI, on writing as an augmentative tool. On ethics, we got one going in, which was talked about the last hour. But most of mine are online language learning. And we're interviewing YouTubers who use ChatGPT to teach languages online, which is rather fun, but in other studies as well. Most of my research is on non-traditional, informal education in higher education or adult learning spaces. So I study MOOCs, massive open online courses. Mostly I study self-directed learning from those. I'm a product of distance learning. I was a former accountant or CPA a long time ago. And I got out of the cube farms of Milwaukee by taking online courses. Really, I took television courses and correspondence courses. And so my goal in life is really to help understand those people who are learning through non-traditional means to change their lives and document that. My book, The World is Open, talks about that, how web technology is revolutionizing education, based on Thomas Friedman's The World is Flat book, which you may have heard of. Maybe you didn't hear of mine, but anyways, the world is wide open. I want to write the next books. The world is wide open, or the world is more open for learning today, which makes it kind of fun to be in this game, but it makes it at the same time a little difficult because we have to keep up with all the changes. And that's why we had 400 people sign up for this afternoon session, or in Indiana anyhow. It's morning or just turning, yeah, it's morning still there. But if you get the daily, you might get a report from the U.S. Department of Ed on artificial intelligence and the future of teaching and learning. Yeah, I want to know about the future of teaching and learning. You might get an article from OpenAI. Text to video AI could change how we think. Okay, change. Then you get the next article comes your way from the Chronicle of Higher Education. It says AI may ruin the university as we know it. Okay. And then we got last week from Inside Higher Education, it says, is generative AI a general purpose pedagogical innovation? Which is kind of what I'm talking about here today. And today's talk will be part one of, I've got 4 different talks on AI pedagogy for higher ed. This is part 1. Part 4 is a kind of best of the first 3 parts. I gave part 3 on Tuesday to an organization called Contact North, and they've already posted the video and my slides. So if you type in Contact North and look under teaching and learning webinars, the webinars they have there, you can go to that after this if you want to get a follow-up for an additional one of those sessions. I'm giving part 4 in March, the best of. Professors are asking, are we just grading robots? Some are riding the wave, others feel like they're drowning. And I'm sure you have a few people in the audience feel like they're drowning. Another one says 2024, the year of the generative AI. Okay, I gave the first MOOC for Blackboard, and they had it in 2012, and they called it the year of the MOOC. Now it's the year of generative AI. Hi, in eCampus News, why must we teach AI literacy in higher education? Okay, another one. The world's first AI-powered course taught completely by AI teachers. The Atlantic's doom and gloom coverage of AI in education. Are we asking the wrong questions about ChatGPT? Special issue of the Chronicle of Higher Education. The AI augmented professor of 2024. And so on and so on. A powerful AI breakthrough is about to transform the world, okay? New York Times, of course, the New York Times is going to be correct, okay? Technology driving ChatGPT is capable of so much more. What's coming next? We'll be talking bots look like mere distractions today. So there's other stuff. It's all coming at us at one time. So what I'm going to try and do is give you 2 frameworks or models to make some sense of it and think about how you could be using it. We won't go to the handout right away. I'll go back through the recap of what's going on here to start a little bit. And we'll be filling some of this in. When we get to that part, I will come back and chat about what to do here. You have some time to download this activity sheet. Probably have 15 minutes. You take your time. So my good friend Cheryl Narahara Hathaway is in here, has helped invite me in. Thank you, Cheryl. She's a former student of mine. Brilliant person. You should tap into her knowledge base. It's quite extensive. She's worked for pretty much everybody there in Southern California, Riverside and Irvine and Cal State Long Beach and so forth. So she knows everything. Well, not everything. She knows a lot of what's going on. So thank you, Cheryl, for bringing me in here today, and for anyone else who is in attendance who is my former student. Let me try and share my slides now. And first, you have to find them. Okay. And there we go. And we can find this. So I've titled this, How Faculty Can Harness Generative AI for Enhanced Learning, Part 1. A little TEC-VARIETY and a little R2-D2 might spice up your life. And so on the right-hand side, there's the R2-D2 model, read, reflect, display, and do, also called a problem-solving wheel. Some people look at learning styles, but I'm an educational psychologist by training, and we don't believe in learning styles. We believe in learning preferences, maybe. But like Myers-Briggs inventory, learning styles typically don't hold water in terms of reliability and validity. However, as a teacher, as an instructor, as a student, as a parent, make a heck of a lot of sense. So don't ignore what I just said and use it as a learning style model. But psychologists don't believe in them, okay? Or at least educational psychologists don't. On the left-hand side is the cover for my TEC-VARIETY book. My son did the cover. Thank you, Alex, in there. And you can download that right away, right now. My slides are at trainingshare.com, or will be later today. You can go to the Dropbox link for now. I just created them maybe at 4 o'clock this morning, so they've yet to go up at TrainingShare. But all my slides from Tuesday at TrainingShare that I did for Contact North, my slides I did in Thailand and Singapore last month, or 2 months ago, are up there. So if you want all 4 parts, go to trainingshare.com and look under my Thailand talks. And all my publications, no, my open access publications are at Publication Share, all linked off my homepage, which is listed there. So warm-up questions. I didn't have time to put the polling, so what I'm going to have you do, we're going to have some fun with all of you, all 100 or so people. Just put a yes, don't put a no. Have you used ChatGPT or other generative AI for your teaching, training, tutoring? Anyone who's used Gen AI in their teaching, training, or tutoring, just type in yes. Okay. Let's see how many we've got. A lot of people. Okay, wow. A lot of people are posting yes. So I'm speaking to the choir here, Cheryl. They don't need me. Oh, we got a lot of no's too. Okay, great. All right. Okay. So let's go next. Maybe, yeah, we'll go yes or no. Okay. Have you used ChatGPT or generative AI tools in your informal learning? Not formal learning, just informal, yes or no? Curious how many of you have. Okay. So in your informal learning, yes or no? And no one is willing to respond. Okay, we got a few. Natalia, thank you. Beth, thank you. Kathy, Scott, Minnie, Maggie, Rochelle, thank you. Yes, Rochelle. Okay. Curt, you got a good name. Curt Rice? I think I know a Curt Rice. Anyhow, Cheryl says yes. Okay. I see a couple familiar names in here. Lisa Kopp. Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Jennifer, Irie, Christina, thank you. Okay, great. We got a couple more questions, I think. How often do you use ChatGPT or generative AI tools? Put A if it's gobs of times each day. Put B if it's nearly every day. Put C if it's once a week, about once. Put D if it's once a month. Put E if it's once or twice to test it out. Put F if it's never, never, never. So in whatever capacity you've used any kind of generative AI tools, just curious if people are, we got some E's and F's. Kathy, thank you, Kathy, and Stormy, and Betty, and Sukina, and Mary Pap, or Pape, Christina, Tara again. Okay, thank you. Raj, you're here, Raj. Okay, Aaron, Francis, okay. We do, okay. Yes, Raj. I bow to you, Raj. Okay. Raj knows a lot too. He knew everything before he became my graduate student. He's in India working for, I think, IBM. Okay. All right. Let's go on. AI, 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 AI. It's there. It's everywhere. It's the conversation of the day. Just like MOOCs were a decade ago, and who knows what it was 2 decades ago, but 4 decades of hypermedia and multimedia and all these kinds of things. So these things come in waves. They come at us in waves, but AI is not going to go away. There's going to be continual AI waves for the foreseeable future. David Wiley and I wrote an article about the waves of ed tech that came out a couple of years ago. If you want that article, just send me a note. As I had the article pulled up earlier, this is the year of Gen AI. Maybe last year was too, and maybe the year before was, and next year will be as well. Because it can help us with text generation and audio production, now coming video production. I'll talk about that. Visual content creation, very important there. We all have this. But bottom one there, language translation, language possibilities. I've been studying things like Duolingo for learning, which is AI based. But that's just basic learning, just the base. It's not advanced. And then personal, individualized, customized learning. Of course, we're heading that way. AI will shake up higher ed. Our colleges ready for this shakeup? We'll see. We'll see. So some of these slides, by the way, I added during the last hour after I posted the slides. So I'll repost a new version. Flower Darby, I love that name, Flower Darby, in the Chronicle of Higher Education, and Flowers at Northern Arizona University, not too far from you. A recent study said in 2023, this was, okay, end of 2023, so it's a year old, nearly half, 49% of college students are using generative AI, but only 22% of faculty. It's a disconnect. But as of August, 2 or 3 months ago, 86% of students were using AI in their studies. 54% use AI at least on a weekly basis, 24% daily. What are they doing with it? It's replacing Google. They're searching for information. They're doing grammar checking, summarizing documents, paraphrasing documents, and creating different drafts of what they're working on. They're becoming more aware of these tools. So we all know that any technology moves through phases. First comes awareness, then comes resistance, then comes understanding, then comes doing something with the technology, then comes sharing what you're doing, and then advocacy. And with AI, we're in the awareness, resistance, and some doing. We're in the first 3 stages. Many of us are in the resistance phase for many things, including myself for some things. But we're becoming more aware, and this is extremely important. We need awareness before we can ever try to start using them. So what, as of August, are students using ChatGPT for? As a learning aid, as an exploratory tool to see what's out there, to write part of assignment. By the way, in our ethics study, most people do not want to use AI to cheat. In my classes, I tell them to use AI. I encourage them. I give them extra points, and they're hesitant. They don't want to be caught for cheating, and they're really hesitant about, well, someone might think that this, blah, blah, blah. It's really hard convincing students to take, so I have this brave people option in my classes to utilize, and I'll get back to that, what I do in brave people options. So writing a full assignment, only 5%. It's 5% is a problem, but 95% of people out there don't want to start doing this, but 5% are. So are we going to penalize the 95% because of 5%? Or are we going to find ways in which to encourage all to use it in an ethical, responsible manner, an exploratory manner, creative manner that fosters critical thinking and collaboration and all these things? And 3 weeks later, another study comes out from what was it, from one of these polling services that these places think they don't poll that well. We know. Anyhow, 82% of college students say they've used AI technologies. 58% of high school students. Students are now nearly even with teachers in adoption. 67, 66%. So teachers have caught up. Students are using AI for school to do research, and so are teachers. Teachers in K-12 are doing lesson plans and researching topics and synthesizing topics and creating study aids and, the old Cliff Notes, just kind of the old study things that we used to buy in the bookstore. This is being created by ChatGPT. Pearson study. So the Morning Consult of 800 US college students, 51% of spring semester students in July 12th, that was spring of 2024, said they're using generative AI and it helped them get better grades. 4% increase. 60% of students are interested in trying new generative AI tools. They're interested in, okay. Some other data there. So community college, right down the road. Maybe you have someone here from this. And Cheryl, how do we say the name of this community? I don't want to mispronounce it. Say it for me.
Coaches community.
At the top, yeah. Carica?
Coaches.
Coaches, community college. Thank you.
Cerritos.
They're using.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about yes, it's Cerritos. Excuse me.
Thank you. I find much more prepared for class, exams, and quizzes all around because I use it as a study tool. One student said, Anthony Gonzalez said, at your local community college. I'm not sure if anyone's here from there. Put a yes, put it in the chat window so I know who's here from that community college. There's so many things. It's not just study guides. We have complete books. My friend Stephanie Pankey from North Carolina UNC has created a free book on AI for creativity, how to use these tools for play and design and imagination. You should get Stephanie Pankey to do a talk for you sometime and present her book ideas. She's a wonderful person. She's working with young kids in Afghanistan, or escaped Afghanistan and went to Bangladesh in the American University for Women and getting master's degrees there. Fascinating. And she's having those women write stories about schools in Afghanistan. Anyhow, so people like Stephanie Pankey are out there doing books. We have free journals out there for the people in the language learning areas from the International Association of Language Learning Technology. They have a free language technology magazine with tons of examples of AI for language learning every month. So I tapped into this for dozens of ideas. We have UNESCO writing a study guide for utilizing AI and talking about the use of AI as a Socratic partner, as a collaboration coach, as a guide on the side, as a tutor, and other ways to utilize ChatGPT from different perspectives. We have the American government, US Department of Educational Technology. Of course, it may not exist in a couple of months, but for right now, they have a free report that you can all, I had this here early, you can all download this free report on what is AI to help your students become more literate and you, the teachers in your district, be more literate. Now, my friend Helen Crompton, who I was with in Singapore 2 months ago, she was the keynote speaker. She's at Old Dominion University. She's written many, and she's a good one. You should bring Helen in for one of these. Gosh, Helen's brilliant and has a lot of great examples of AI in education and other technologies. She was a mobile learning earlier. Talking about use as a conversation partner, as a way to foster collaboration and engagement, as a way to foster self-assessment, and get study guides built and outlines and diagnostic of your reasoning, to get feedback, to get access, all these different ways as an editing partner, right? So take a look at this. Again, if you download my slides, you can click on the links of all these and get the articles that go with it and so forth. So that's a little, hopefully a double whammy there. Just down the road at Arizona State, they're offering a class on AI, on generative AI, and had 1,000 people sign up. So if you're worried about enrollments, your course is not filling, just create a class on AI. We did one in the School of Ed, Cheryl and Raj. We have one in the School of Ed at IU, and for undergrads. And we don't have hardly any undergrads in our program. We don't have any, actually. And it filled, this course filled right away because it was about something that students wanted to learn about. And might as well come to instructional technology department and find about AI, right? And at Georgia Tech, they have a certificate. So some places are building courses, some places are building certificates for educators in professional uses of generative AI. And other places like Harvard are building websites with guidelines about the use of AI. And this is a great website. Normally I don't promote Harvard a lot, though my podcast partner, Chris Stevie, is from Harvard. There's also a great website at Johns Hopkins and at Cornell and at Dartmouth. Notice this is all East Coast, and I think UNC Santa Cruz. But Harvard, what they have there is the Meta Lab that has what's called an AI pedagogy project. And there's the woman who runs the project. In there, they have examples of different disciplines, whether it's literature or history or sociology, psychology, with the skills they're trying to foster. I know you're interested in outcomes here. They've got a list of tags at the bottom of each course. This is just a screenshot of the opening. You go inside and click on these. It's in depth of each course and what they're doing, what the outcomes are, how to teach it, how to incorporate AI within the class, step by step. It's really thorough, and the links are at the top, aipedagogy.org and AI pedagogy or assignments. MIT also has a wonderful website on how to create rubrics, on how to create scripts for podcasts, how to create examination questions, and even writing cover letters and resumes and all sorts of things at the MIT website, Management and Teaching and Learning Technologies website. Guidelines, guidelines, guidelines. Now again, my friend Flower Darby is with my other friend, Mahabali, and you see I'm with her in Cairo a year ago. Was with, you might recognize Mahabali. She writes a blog for the Chronicle of Higher Education every once in a while, often on flipped classrooms. And she's a language instructor at the American U of Cairo, or in Cairo. And she encourages her students to first to generate ideas, to help them generate ideas and then refine them, and then start the assignment once having, we all suffer from writer's block and procrastination. So she uses ChatGPT to generate some initial kernels of ideas that then they can write from and add to, and have them indicate how they used ChatGPT in the assignment. One professor at Middlebury College out in the Northeast, he says, I've come to realize after 23 years, and my job is not to police everybody in here, nor really not to rank them, but to find ways to inspire students, to get them to join me in the learning process. That's probably the goal of mine as well. And my friend Ray Schroeder at the University of Illinois Springfield, who Cheryl knows quite well, he's like the czar of emerging technologies. He writes a blog post for Inside Higher Ed. Subscribe to Inside Higher Ed, it's free. And he often writes on the future of higher ed. He keeps trying to retire from Springfield and they don't let him. I think they built a statue for him on campus and whatnot. I think he finally did kind of retire, but he's still working. Anyway, he says, data is emerging that indicates students may be more likely to be considered for high-paying jobs if they have experience with AI in their job applications. They're getting more interviews. They're getting more pay, actually. And if you look at the data, I think my friend Ray is right. We look at the jobs out there mentioning AI, the percent increase from 2020 to 2023 is astronomical. So just putting on your resume that you attended this 1-hour session on AI might be beneficial, and at least talking to folks about, how you might use AI in your teaching, because you can go to OpenAI website now and they actually have ideas about how to use ChatGPT for teaching, and they cite my friend Helen Crompton. I'm trying to move my screen here to the left here. There we go. I've got all your faces blocking a little bit of text here, but exclusive from Reuters. Here on the right is exclusive. OpenAI explores how ChatGPT can get into classrooms. This is an exclusive article. I said, what? It's an exclusive? This is important to know that they didn't think it was possible? No, come on. The media is so far behind. All of you are doing much more than what Reuters is giving you credit for. I find this kind of ironic anyhow. This is a person, Ethan Mullick at UPenn, in the business school, who's been probably cited more than anyone else in the world. So I maybe recommend going to his blog and reading about how to use AI as a tutor, as a teammate, as a mentor, as just a tool, and he's probably the person that people are going to in terms of use in the classroom. But there are other places out there. Daniel Stanford's Substack is one place I go to a lot, because he talks about ways to use AI for creative brainstorming, role play, instructional design, text revision, you name it, he's written about it. So again, that's someplace, I'm just pointing out some places to go. One article that I grabbed off of the Times Higher Education was written by folks at Charles Darwin University in Northern Australia by Seb and Suban. They talk about how to use ChatGPT and generative AI to spark debates, to provide YouTube summaries, which is, I think, is brilliant. So after watching the video, to have the text there to dual code your learning, to have text and a video. We know Richard Mayer's work at UC Santa Barbara talks about the need to multimedia to impact on one's learning. Alan Pavio's research on dual coding up in Canada also talks about that, to have both text and video is a way to learn it better, but not to have too much. They also talk about how to develop rubrics, how to change your curriculum. I know in the last hour someone was asked, how do we change the curriculum? Completely change it. So they talk about how the marketing curriculum might change, or other parts, and how we design the syllabus based on the generative AI tools that are there now, how to use discussion prompts, how to create a tutorial, all this stuff. Another place you might, in part 2 and part 3 of this talk, I utilize this book a bit more. They have this book from, I think it's Colorado State. It's a repository of the way people are using ChatGPT and generative AI in their classrooms. The problem with this book, it's a bit too deep. I hate to say this, but if you're not a computer science person, you won't understand the computer science examples right away. If you're not a philosophy person, you won't understand the philosophy examples right. If you're not a literature person, you won't understand the literature examples. So me, being an ed psych, business person background, now technology, I didn't understand all the examples in here, but there are brilliant examples in this book, don't get me wrong. And it's free. So so it's a way to spark ideas, but I would not start with this book, okay? I would maybe utilize this as a secondary resource, okay? And they'll probably keep refining this book. It's written by Annette V. and Carly Schnitzler. Writing Across the Curriculum Clearinghouse, Text Gen Ed, Teaching with Text Generation Technology. What I would go to first, go to this one. Go to the UK. I think this is all, or mostly people in the UK. It's called Creative Ideas to Use AI in Education, 101. And, you know, what I've got screenshots here. I don't do justice to any of this stuff because there's much more underneath here. So I can't summarize all the things that are going on within these respective books out there. And so Cheryl's going to put this all in a folder. Thank you, Cheryl, for doing that. Yeah. And everyone can have access to these links, right? Okay. And by the way, I have a course in the spring, R678, Emerging Learning Technologies. I've taught for 33 years. And if you ever want to sit in the class, I haven't taught face-to-face in 5 years. I have a face-to-face and an online section. Online, I think, will be Tuesday nights at 7, which would be 4 o'clock California time. Anyways, just write me a note. You can sit in free, whatever. Cheryl's come many times. She's been a guest, and her husband's been a guest many times. He's a famous guy too. So, you know, I don't do justice to this when I put this up here, but the first number 11 in the book is how to use AI tools for an entrepreneurial startup. For instance, creating a marketing plan or marketing related materials that students would then utilize those prototypes and expand on them and use them for other means, right? So it provides a extra person, if you will, or extra resource, if you will, for your entrepreneurial startup in maybe a business class that, you know, or in a computer science class that is a final project. Idea number 12 is having ChatGPT and Gen AI create branching scenarios, which would take me and you all day to create one of these. It can create one in 15 seconds with multimedia embedded in it. In a case, maybe you're teaching nursing, or yeah, in this case, it is nursing. It's from the Open RN project. This person is an instructional technologist at that project. I want to see the previous one person. It doesn't say the, from Adelaide. So it's not all UK, from Adelaide, Australia as well. So maybe it's British based. All the Commonwealth people are providing examples in here. So she says, authoring case studies is time complex. It's time consuming. By leveraging AI, we're able to author not only comprehensive case study, but generate relevant dialogue feedback with branches that take the learner on a rich journey. They've been funded by a $2.5 million Department of Education project for nurses out there. I'm looking at Open RN project, Co-Adaptive Labs, LLC. Idea number 22, interviewing learner personas. This is the University of Mass Boston, so it's in US too. Okay, Rebecca Hope uses ChatGPT to create and then impersonate a persona created by students. The student then interviews the persona about the topic of their project. So first they create the fictional personas and then they interview that person or persona for their ideas. Number 33, use ChatGPT for peer assessment. The benefits of peer assessment are well documented, fostering deeper learning. By the way, we focus again on the outcomes. We want deeper learning here for our content. We want to process things beyond knowledge level to get at synthesis and evaluation levels and application levels, right? And analysis levels of Bloom's taxonomy. So students use ChatGPT to generate various responses to an assignment question. Each student then synthesizes and critiques the responses ChatGPT gave and assesses the work using different criteria. So there's a way to embed ChatGPT in one's assignment and have meta reflection on what it says. Well, it's similar to utilizing ChatGPT as a debate partner, getting ready for debate. This person in the UK, at the Open U in the UK, Catherine Jewett, says, I have used the debate process with students to encourage active learning, active listening, and to help increase critical thinking. Student feedback shows that they found debating a useful way to explore and improve their knowledge on a topic and improve the skills they learn. Okay, communication skills, critical thinking skills. Again, these are the outcomes we want. Confidence skills, another outcome we want. Self-efficacy skills as a learner. Can you be a debate partner and explain the rules? ChatGPT, can you be a debate partner? ChatGPT explain step-by-step the rules and how the debate will work and which side of to adopt and what it would say on one side, what it might say on a different side of the debate to get the student ready for the debate. Using DALL-E to generate images that then we can have discussions about, or that can enhance one's paper. They can include the image with their paper, and they might explain, or they might have an image created and then write a paper about what that image is to foster creative writing, if you will. So those people in the creative writing space might find DALL-E or other image generators to be beneficial to get students to just talk, to get them to write, to get them to start, to get the cognitive wheels going in their brains. They also might utilize AI to generate a summary of something, whether it's a book summary or an article summary. So students might use ChatGPT to create a chapter summary on their chosen book or monograph. Then they swap summaries with another group, another team, and use them to start discussion. So as a discussion starter. Now I've used this in a different way. I have students create a summary of top 10 things, and then we have discussion about it. So AI produces the summary of 10 points, and then we have discussion going on. I have one discussion in Canvas called the AI augmented discussion, and the other discussion in Canvas called human to human, only humans. One of them, we use AI to generate summaries of articles and lists, and we have discussion around it. I like that one better than the human to human, actually, but it gives students an option. They can go to the human one, they go to the AI one, they can go to both, they can contribute to both, but they have to contribute to at least one of them. They don't have to do both in my classes. Empowering student-led case discussions using ChatGPT generated prompts. Here's another. So you put the article into ChatGPT and ask it to generate a set of questions that students might ask, or put the guest that you have coming into class, put their article in and generate a list of key points and questions like I did last week in my class, actually, for my final class. I brought a former student from my department, and she's at North Texas now, and we had ChatGPT analyze her article. And I had ChatGPT create a fictional biography, or not fictional, a fun biography of what she's done. That was really great. I made her a superstar before introducing her. That was really kind of fun. So there's ways you can utilize ChatGPT and be both serious and fun, like that example. There's more I want to say here. I'm blanking on a couple other things, but let's just say that this is a start. Oh, there's another tool that I like better than ChatGPT. So put in the chat window if you've ever utilized, not just heard. If you've heard, just type in heard. If you ever utilized and heard, put yes. Chat PDF. Chat PDF. If you've utilized and heard Chat PDF, put a yes in. If you just heard about it, just type in heard or H. I'm curious to see how many people are utilizing Chat PDF. No. Beth. Oh, Cheryl's. Oh, we've got somebody, please, somebody. Okay, okay, a couple people. All right, okay. Yeah. So take a look. I love this tool, Chat PDF. So that's the tech for, we haven't gotten to the yet, and I've got about 25 minutes left. So I'll go through the TEC-VARIETY model and the R2D2 model and some examples. So by now you should have got this downloaded. In here it says TEC-VARIETY with the 10 principles from tone to yielding products. And you'll see embedded in these 10 principles are ideas of Piaget and Skinner. I worked with B.F. Skinner's daughter and his son-in-law, my first job at West Virginia. They tried not getting me hired. They didn't want a psychologist who wasn't a behaviorist hired there. And, I did get hired. It was fun working with B. And I talked to B.F. Skinner briefly before he died. He answered the phone. He was, anyhow. So this is the work from DC and Ryan. If you've got Daniel Pink's Drive book, he talks about intrinsic motivation. That's number 6, and number 5. We want people to be intrinsically driven, volition, passion. We got the work of Piaget, number 9, tension and dissonance. The work of Roger Schenck, goal-drivenness. The work of Abraham Maslow and the humanists, tone and climate, the psychological safety. This is Thomas Malone in the gaming literature, curiosity. This is a framework built on hundreds of years of psychology research, or 150 years of motivation research. Now, of course, we want reflection on outcomes and student learning outcomes at the Coaches Network. So in here, I want you to write down what you might use. I usually do will use, might use, and won't use, but for the sake of time and space, I just put the might use. And next to it, I want you to write possible outcomes. So you're thinking about the outcomes that you'll have. At the bottom, you could put questions for me at the end, okay? So hopefully some of you have been able to download this. And anyone who fills this up, the first one who yells bingo, I will send a book to, and Cheryl will confirm it. You can just type it in the chat window. Don't yell, just type it in, and Cheryl interrupt me when someone puts in they got bingo. Okay, so we want to recognize the person, all right? Okay, so my former student, Sharon Wong at Colby College, is using a technique I do, is she has, okay, we're reading this article. I'm going to put this in Chat PDF or Chat GPT and have it generate warm-up questions. I'm going to list some possible questions for our guests we're going to bring in before the guest comes in as a warm-up to set the tone or climate. I also might use Chat PDF or Chat GPT or Gemini or Claude or Copilot to have it generate icebreakers. So this is also going to be used for ice-breaking kinds of things. So whatever kind of topic you want students to talk about to start class with, what did you read in the past week that inspired you? Whatever the icebreaker is. Number 2, to have ChatGPT or other generative AI tools to generate a poll that you might start your class with. Instead of you generating the poll, have it generate possible polls that you might insert into your class and have you then have the poll ready at the ready to ask those polling questions or survey questions. This professor in Spain, Fran Ballas, recommends teachers use ChatGPT to craft quizzes, exams, and lesson plans, to have something fresh and something different than they weren't asking every semester, and students can then cheat because they've previous semesters using the same thing. So crafting quiz questions or exam or reflection questions, just reflection, reflect, 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 okay? You can have exam preparation documents created like a study guide, like a review of course materials, like an outline, key points, generating possible questions or quizzes. All these things are kind of referenceware. We call this referenceware, where we might also list our past questions that we asked to make them less stressed out and feel more comfortable with your class, whether it's using Quizlet. And now there is a new tool within Quizlet. Quizlet's the largest testing service maybe in the world, and it's a free tool. And Quizlet has built an AI engine wrapped around it called QChat, apparently. Now, I admittedly never used QChat, so I do not know how good an engine this is, but it's something I mentioned here as a way to practice and encourage and give feedback to students, because students want feedback on everything they do, and you will die. Cheryl, you've got a comment.
Yes, we have bingo.
You can't have bingo because I haven't gotten through all of them yet. They have to fill the whole sheet up.
We have Will Brybeck. Would you like to take the mic, Will?
You filled up the sheet, Will? I can go home now. But okay, but maybe I'll give away 2 books. If Will really filled it all up, there we'll still, but at the end, don't yell big until I get to number 10 here anyhow. And then the next slide, we'll do another one. Okay, all right. So yeah, ways in which one might utilize it. There we go. And I mentioned this earlier, having ChatGPT create a YouTube text summary, a transcript. There are tools available to allow you to do this so students can dual code the content a little better. Another way Daniel Stanford's Substack mentioned is to have GenAI create a short paper, such as should governments provide tax credits to electronic vehicles. And then the student task is to paste the AI response into a document and track changes, and to change the document, rewrite the document, expand the document, so have it be starter text for that document. And then maybe have them come back and change the prompt, and having them respond to a different, not totally different, but somewhat different, and have them do the same round, a second round of the same thing yet again, and then turn in the revision and track the changes in that, and turn in a clean copy and a track changes copy so we see what the students have actually written. So that is number 3, curiosity, intrigue, unknown. Number 4, variety and fun and fantasy. In a language learning class, especially with beginning learners, you might use DALL-E or other image generators to create a scene in which students write a paper around and then add different images into that scene. Like in this case, they added a bus and other things into the scene, and students will then, in learning language, would have to learn what a bus, how to write a bus in Spanish or in Italian or in French or Korean or whatever it is. So using that as a generator for thinking about language. In my class, I have brave people options. Brave people, I have ChatGPT or ChatPDF or other generative AI tools create a 2,000, 3,000 word summary of a scholar. Next, have the students write a 2 to 3 page reflection paper reviewing that scholar, critiquing that review of the scholar, and incorporating quotes from what ChatGPT said. The alternative to this is to have students write a 2,000 word, 3,000 is kind of a lot, actually. I found I'm reading these this week, so 3,000 is a lot of words. 2,000, 2,500, maybe 1,500 word summary. And then have ChatGPT write one. So have the student and then compare the two. Have them come to class or in an online, just compare the two and write a third article that summarizes the two together. Or maybe work in groups. I know we heard the previous hour, the presenter liked working in teams. So you might have 3 people or 4 people in a team. Each one brings in their summary and the ChatGPT summary, and then together they work in to create the best summary. The same is true of this article, where you might have the generative AI tool critique a book, critique an article, and then students write a reflection paper on that book review and include some key points and key terms and concepts in like a multimedia glossary of that book. Again, you could do this a different way. Have students write a critique, have ChatPDF write a critique, or ChatGPT write a critique, and then compare the two. And maybe if you teach face-to-face, I have students make posters and put them on a board. Then we have poster sessions and rounds back and forth of the critiques, and maybe have the comparison of theirs to ChatPDF. Be really fun to do. Or have students present in class, here's what ChatPDF wrote, here's what I wrote in my critique, and so forth. There's all sorts of spin-offs of these, thousands of spin-offs. These are just some basic things. I teach a course in learning environment design now at IU. It's a new course here. And so I have, I tell them to utilize a generative AI tool to generate some starter text for a paper that they're writing on learning environments, where they look at different learning environments and critique them. And they use ChatGPT for part of the paper, just a piece of it. And they have to mark in the paper where they utilized it. What critique points that in that environment did they point out that the student incorporated into their critique. In Dearborn, Michigan, an instructor teaches ethics, has students discuss, what is this thing about free labor? Is it okay to ask students to help train Gen AI, for a tool that's actually going to be taking opportunities away from them. We discuss and debate the appropriateness or the ethicalness of that. Robots are coming. Should we be helping in that regard? Should we be paving the way and making it easier for that to happen? This person has got an ingenious idea. I like this one because I've read this book, Machines of Loving Grace by John Markoff. It's a great book. If you want to understand the computer history in this country and in the world over the past two centuries, get this book. It's a decade old now, but get this book. What he does in his freshman seminar on AI and robotics, he has students work in groups to outline and summarize 3 chapters of this book. Then he shows them what ChatGPT had produced as an outline, and they compare and find that ChatGPT is actually pretty boring. Their version of the summary of the book is kind of a laundry list and might have some wrong information and might be what students call soulless. So he points out that you shouldn't always be utilizing these tools for your papers because it's not going to produce all great stuff. People can recognize the ways in which it's writing actually. Another professor, Daniel Substacks, again, he says, for activities where students revise and critique AI-generated text, consider how students will annotate the work. For example, your instructions might include the following guidelines. Highlight in yellow any sentence in which AI wrote more than 50%. Highlight maybe in another color where only the words were changed. Okay? Use track changes when revising an AI-generated text that cross AI text out and the revised version is shown in a different color. Identify at least one problematic place that AI text or one problematic place of AI text and highlight it and explain why it's a problem and how you would fix it. So this gets people to analyze that text, add to that text, critique that text. I think it's pretty brilliant. This is a great idea. So again, Daniel Stanford, he's got all, I'm not sure where he's a professor. Sure, you might be able to look it up. Maybe he's another Michigan person. He might be. He might be. Another one from Daniel Stanford. He says, have AI summarize a text. Summarize the most important points in the following article in 5 to 10 key bullet points. Limit the summary to 200 words. Then, expand on it, discuss it, debate it, or expand it. Have AI take the following outline and expand on a point or two, or have the students then take AI's outline and expand. So all sorts of ways in which you either start with AI or you end with AI, or in the middle you use it. You'll have to think about how you can best utilize it. Now, one of my former students who was an AI, a TA at IU, award-winning AI of mine when Cheryl was a student, his name is Ron Baguetto, and Ron's a creativity expert, one of the best in the country. He's at Arizona State now, and he's designed chatbots, and he has his students interact with these chatbots that exemplify different personalities, like maybe more optimistic, more pessimistic, more cynical, more curious. And then he has students interrogate these personas for different things. Like if they're writing a dissertation, just like your committee might be different personas on your committee, he has them ask and present different topics and questions, research questions to each persona and get their responses to it, which I think is ingenious. He's won awards for this. You should read, if you're interested in creativity, read Ron Baguetto at Arizona State, read Punya Mishra, my podcast partner at Arizona State. He's the person who developed TPAC, if anyone's heard of TPAC, for technology and pedagogy integration. Helen Crompton, again, my friend at Old Dominion, she's featured in OpenAI's pedagogy list of best practices. She utilizes ChatGPT for many things, including have it be a debate partner who will point out weaknesses in students' arguments, or a recruiter who's interviewing them for a job, or a new boss who delivers feedback in different ways. She embeds them in a real-world situation at Walmart or at Apple or wherever, as a recruiter, as a supervisor, as a colleague, so that students can feel like they're in the real-world scenario-based kinds of learning. Another thing that some people are doing is utilizing these tools and then analyzing the bias that ChatGPT created. For instance, if you have a prompt that says, write a scene in a movie script where the people in a specific professions interact. You have a doctor, a nurse, or a pilot and a flight attendant. Then ask students, what gender did AI assign to each role? What ethnicity did they assign to each role? How did it handle gender or race representation? And then you look, and here we've got, on the right, we've got doctors and nurses, and you notice that females aren't represented all that well in these scenarios, or pilots and flight attendants and so forth. So you have interesting conversations with your students when you point out the bias that it's detected in these situations. Examples at Dolly in particular. So notice the nurse as a female that's in some of these situations. Anyhow, my friend Paul Kim at Stanford, he just resigned his job from Stanford. He's living in Beijing now, but Paul is probably the most influential person on my thinking in the past 2 decades. If you've heard of Seymour Papert, who developed Logo and Lego Logo, he's kind of the next coming of Seymour Papert, kind of constructivistic kinds of learning. Well, he developed SMILE, Stanford Mobile Inquiry Learning Environments, and my son worked with him, went around the world in Tanzania and Argentina, and Paul's now in Kazakhstan, actually. He's in Beijing for a year. He went to Kazakhstan, and Paul's all over the world, helping kids improve their literacy. He built a tool where kids can ask questions of the system, and he gets kids in competitions to ask deeper and higher levels of questions. So here was all about outcomes in your coach network. He's now built Ask Smile, so that Smile will evaluate the levels of kids' questions from 5 levels of Bloom. He combines level 5 and 6 together: knowledge and application and synthesis, evaluation, blah, blah, blah. And he's shown, and I'm on a research paper with him. I got to finish it this weekend. We got provisionally accepted, but we're late getting it back. We've shown that adults at a conference filled in this the Ask Smile system, and over a month after the conference, they kept asking harder and harder, more difficult levels of questions according to Bloom's taxonomy. My friend Tran Fong at Cal State Fresno is using it with her undergraduate students and her master's students, and they're looking at all sorts of important questions, reflecting on it for the standpoint of critical thinking. Highly recommend downloading the Ask Smile system. It's free. It's free to use. It's AI based. It's simple to use. And you just go in here. Okay, ask a question. What will it take for North and South Korea to be unified? As example question. It says, great job. That's a level 5 question. It involves speculation and uncertainty about the future. Reunification of North and South Korea is complex, especially when today, well, the problems in martial law anyhow, but it's complex and sensitive.
And we're down to 2 minutes, Curt.
Okay, so I should probably go to the other model briefly here and just point out there are other aspects of this with tension and yielding products that I didn't have time to get to, but that's the TEC-VARIETY model. The other model is R2D2. And it involves words. So having people input into ChatGPT an article and generate questions and summaries, and have ChatGPT used to explain meaning and grammar rules and definitions and vocabulary. You can have it as a writing partner, as a grammar partner, and so forth. I'll skip over that so it can point out how to use words in different sentences and how to change sentences around at the word level. At the reflection level, you might have students utilizing ChatGPT to reflect on the credibility of sources, to compare a document written for a common audience, the general public, to one written for an academic audience, and have it write for different audiences, and then analyze the text like this professor does. I'll skip over that. I'll skip and have it, again, edit documents. I'll skip over that because I want to get number 3. We're moving into an age of more visual learning where we can create visuals, having ChatGPT create visuals, such as mammoths in a meadow, okay? Such as a woman walking through downtown Tokyo. This is generated off of text, so it's text to video as opposed to video to text. And this is an age in which we're now entering, called age of video generation. Sora is the tool that's being shown here. It's a interesting tool, and it's one that you might play around with when it becomes available. It's not available yet, okay? So I'm going to skip over that. The final one is part 4, hands-on kinds of learning, and to utilize different tools to get students to try something out. For instance, Synesthesia has a set of AI actors that play different roles. And I don't have time to show it to you here, but it's in the link if you download the link. There's another tool called Notebook LM, which creates a podcast of your articles, of your books. Now I typed in all 4 parts of this this workshop, this 1-hour webinar, and I gave it to Notebook LM, and it created a interactive discussion within a couple of minutes of 2 people. Sound like they're on NPR. It's pretty cool. It's called Notebook LM. I don't have time to demo it per se, but one of my students wrote a book for my class final using Pressbooks, and then she put it into Notebook LM and created basically a teaser on the book, an AI teaser that was like 10 or 15 minutes long that summarized the book in Pressbooks. Student definitely got an A+ on this, okay? She did a lot of work. So I, in turn, entered the slides from this talk and all 4 parts into Notebook LM, and I created my own audio file. So anyways, closing questions. How many of you got a few ideas from this session? How many got none? Put A, 1 or 2, put B, 3 to 5, put C, 6 to 10, put D, more than 10, put E. A lot of people filling this out. Okay, well, thank you for that. Okay, wow, a lot of C's, a lot of C's. Raj put A. I'm sorry, Raj, I didn't help you all that much. Kurt Rice, thank you, Kurt. I'm just kidding on Raj. Enrique, thank you, Enrique. TL and Natalina, very good, wow. Jarek, okay. Annie, F, okay, well, and that's not F for flunking it. And Lisa Kopp, a C. Now, the person I know is Lisa Hop. You're Lisa Kopp, so I know a Lisa Hop now and a Lisa Kopp. Manny and Nico, Dawe-san, and E, thank you very much. So let me go to the next question here. How many ideas did you get from the session using ChatGPT for your teaching, tutoring, or training? Maybe not as much as you got for your learning, but I'm just curious if anyone got something there. So Annie, Neha, Cheryl, Raj, oh, Raj got an E, Raj, E, Rochelle. Oh, Philip, thank you. Rochelle, Martin, great. Stephen Dan, Joy, Malay. Some of these names I'm recognizing. So if, send me an email if you've come to my talks previously. Thank you for all that. Wow, Hui, everyone, wow, lots of great ideas. So I need your help because I cannot do this alone. So on the count of 3, I want everyone to say, I cannot do this alone. I can't change the world by myself. I can't change education. I can't change anything. I cannot do this alone. I need all your help. So 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this
I cannot do
alone.
this alone.
Okay,
I
did you
cannot
hear
do
my,
this alone.
Cheryl, did you hear the audio or not?
Yes, I did.
Okay, you heard, okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this alone.
I cannot do this
I
alone.
cannot
I
do
cannot
this
do
alone.
alone.
One more time. 1, 2, 3. I cannot do this
this
alone.
alone.
I cannot do this alone.
So maybe we have some closing questions. My paper's at Publication Share. My free book is at TEC-VARIETY.
Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate it. Thanks for a wonderful presentation.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Any closing remarks, Cheryl?
No, just thank you for coming. This has been a wonderful Friday. Thank you, Yark, for making this happen. And everybody have a great weekend and a wonderful holiday.
We probably should see everyone in your own
Okay,
wave.
okay, thank you.
Can we get everyone in here, get a gallery view of some kind? All right, everyone wave. Have a good weekend.
Okay.
Have
See
a
you in
great
California.
weekend.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you for bringing me in here.